All right, let's talk about something that is, well, just really tough. It's one of the hardest things you can go through in your church life. What do you do when you see leaders, one after another, walking out the door? It's confusing. It can be really painful, and it can shake your faith in the very place you call home. So, how on earth do you guard your heart when it feels like everything is falling apart?
And this is where it starts, isn't it? You see people you really respect, maybe staff members, ministry heads, people who've been there forever, and they're gone. And the sentence just quietly plants itself in your heart. I mean, it seems like basic math, right? A conclusion that feels kind of hard to argue with. It's this powerful little whisper that says, hey, maybe you're the one being naive for staying.
And let's just be real about what's going on inside of you, because it's a total whirlwind. You're not just seeing one person leave, you're seeing a pattern, and that feels significant. You're trying to sort through all these different stories. You hear one thing from one person, a totally different version from someone else. All the while, you're fighting off this quiet fear that the whole thing could just crumble. And honestly, it all leads to what you could call loyalty fatigue. It's just that exhaustion you feel from constantly having to defend your pastor, even if it's only inside your own head.
So here's the absolute crucial point. There is this subtle but really dangerous shift that can happen. You know, it's totally okay. It's actually healthy to have honest questions when you see stuff that's concerning. But the real danger is when those questions start to harden into a fixed suspicion. It becomes this lens you see everything through. You've already made a verdict in your heart. And that's the exact moment your heart starts to turn.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little, because these situations are almost never as simple as they look. To get through this with your heart intact, you've got to learn to hold two competing and often equally true ideas in your mind at the very same time.
And this slide right here shows those two truths perfectly. Look, on one hand, the Bible is super clear that sometimes when people leave, it actually reveals what was in their heart all along. Remember where it says, they went out from us, but they were not of us? Yeah, sometimes it's about a person's own disloyalty or ambition or an offense they just wouldn't let go of. But on the other hand, we have to be real about the fact that leaders have flaws. They can be harsh sometimes. They can be insecure. Pastors are still human, and sometimes people leave because there are genuine issues that are genuinely hurtful.
And here's the key to this whole thing: humility. You just have to accept that you almost never, ever have the full picture. You're seeing little bits and pieces from one side, you're maybe hearing whispers from another, but the complete story, the private meetings, the long history, the actual motivations in people's hearts, you probably don't have access to that.
And we can't forget there's a spiritual dynamic happening here too. The Bible calls the enemy the accuser of our brethren. His whole strategy is often to take a real mistake or real pain, like a kernel of truth, and then just blow it up, twist it, until he creates this entire cloud of accusation around a leader. It just poisons the whole atmosphere for everybody.
So, with all of that on the table, the most important thing you can do right now isn't trying to figure everybody else out. It's about looking inward. It's time to get brutally honest and check what's actually happening inside your own heart. What is this whole situation revealing in you?
So, let's just get honest. Ask yourself this: has every sermon, every decision, every little announcement from the pastor, has it all become evidence to support the negative story you've started to believe? Are you actually looking for faults now just to prove yourself right?
Oof. And what about this one? Do you feel a little bit of pride, maybe a secret sense of superiority because you think you're one of the smart ones who really sees what's going on? That feeling can be so tempting, making you feel like you've got the inside scoop, but it's such a dangerous kind of pride.
This is a massive gut check. Are you still showing up on Sunday, but in your heart you've completely checked out? Have you basically joined the critics, even if it's just in your own head? This is exactly how inner rebellion starts. Your body's in the building, but your loyalty has already walked out the door.
Okay, so if any of that sounds familiar, don't freak out. There is a path back to clarity. Let's just walk through 6 really practical steps you can take to keep your heart from getting bitter and to handle this whole thing with integrity.
So here's the game plan, okay? First, take it to God. Second, separate fact from fiction. Third, look at the big picture fruit. Fourth, don't let pain be your only guide. Fifth, if you have to talk, be super careful. And finally, you got to decide where you're planted.
So steps 1 and 2 are your foundation. Before you talk to anyone else, before you vent to a friend, bring all your confusion to God. Just ask Him to give you His perspective and to protect your heart. Then do the hard work of taking out a piece of paper and separating what you have personally seen and know for a fact from what you've just heard.
You might be shocked how much of your anxiety is built on rumors.
All right, next up, you need perspective. Look back at the years of ministry. Has the doctrine been solid? Have you seen good fruit and character over the long haul? Don't just focus on this recent painful season. And this is huge. Don't make pain your main teacher. People who are hurt can sometimes rewrite history. Be compassionate, for sure, but don't let their pain be the only lens you see everything through. You know, a leader with years of faithfulness and some human flaws is a world away from a leader with a long pattern of abuse or hidden sin.
Now, if you've done all of that and you're still really unsettled, you might need to have a very, very careful conversation. This isn't about storming in and demanding answers. It's about humbly expressing where you're at and seeking wisdom. And then finally, after all that, you have to decide. Is God telling you to stay put? If he is, then you got to trust him through the storm. And if he's clearly telling you it's time to go, then go cleanly, without starting a campaign to drag the church down on your way out.
So, when you boil it all down, this whole thing comes down to a choice. It's about deciding what your inner posture is going to be. It's about making a series of conscious commitments to keep your heart clean before God, no matter what anyone else is doing.
So, make this your first commitment. Just decide, I refuse to jump to the easy conclusion. I'm not going to let the church grapevine or popular opinion make this decision for me.
And your second commitment is this. You're going to be a wise judge. You will base your decisions on a balanced view of three things: what you have personally seen, what you have personally experienced, and what God's Word says about it all. Third, if you decide to stay, then you have to really stay. Commit to it. Be a healthy, honoring part of the solution, not some bitter spectator sitting in the back with your arms crossed, just looking for more evidence to be angry about.
And finally, commit to this. If that day ever comes, and God does lead you somewhere else, you will leave with honor. You won't burn the bridge on your way out. You won't start a smear campaign to make yourself feel better about leaving. You will just go, cleanly and with integrity.
So really, that's the final question this whole season is asking you. It's not just about whether the pastor's right or wrong, or if you should stay or go. The real test is this. Through all of it, will you take ownership of your own spirit? Will your heart stay honest? Will it stay loyal? And will it stay free from all that bitterness that can so easily trap us? The choice is yours.